Thank you for participating in this CAEOP video project training PowerPoint. As you may know, this project is being funded by the Council of Opportunity in Education, and its purpose is to promote the work of the state's educational opportunity community and TRIO programs in particular. As you most likely know, Connecticut, while we're one of the richest in the Union, has faced a persistent achievement gap, and many players are suggesting major changes to address this issue in the state. TRIO programs, along with state-funded TRIO-inspired initiatives, have been seeking to address this issue over time. The purpose of this video will be to showcase the role of TRIO EOP initiatives and to learn from those experts and practitioners lessons from the past and strategies for the future. So the goal for this training is to equip those who would like to have a part in this project with the tools and the preparation to help us to create a high quality video that will achieve the aforementioned purpose. So as you think about a good video and you think about a quality video, I'd like to ask you a question, and that is, what do you think is the most critical component toward the success of a video? Do you think it's the quality of the images, the content? Does it say anything? Is there anything worthwhile? Is there a worthwhile message? Is it the design? Yes, all of these are important. Yet, there's one component that's critical, and that is the quality of the sound. If we can't hear it, what good is it? And many of you have probably seen amateur videos and or more than amateur videos that you cannot hear. You cannot hear the message. There's something wrong with the sound. There's interference. And often there are compelling, beautiful works out there, but you can't hear the word, or worst of all, you don't get the message because of poor sound quality. So our purpose here is to equip you with the tools and the knowledge to help us to create the best product. So what are the tools? These are basic, and you can imagine you need a camera. You need some type of camera, and I'll discuss that more in a minute. A laptop would be helpful, an iPhone, iPad, or tablet, a cell phone that records audio or video, a tripod, and a microphone. Not all of these tools are absolutely necessary, and I will provide any of these if you don't have access to them. So as a recap, these are the basic tools that you will need. So the camera. You can really use almost any newer camera now with video, and we'd like a pixel quality of 8 or higher. Megapixels now are 10 and even higher. And I'm talking about cameras that were bought as much as 3 and 4 years ago would work fine. An iPhone 4 or above. The iPhone 4 has video capability, I believe, and nowadays when you're doing video, it's best to do it in HD high definition. You really can tell the difference when it's not HD. We've all been spoiled with beautiful TVs and high quality. This next thing you'll need for stabilization of the image is a tripod, and lots of cameras have stabilization functions built in. A tripod, or anything that you can perch your camera on, whether it's a set of books or something steady that you can rest your camera on, any of those will work. And as I have access to tools that you can use, and there are lots of little mini ones that you can use, especially if you're just dealing with a little camera or an iPhone. There are lots out there, pretty inexpensive too. Now, the all-important audio. Your camera may well include excellent sound quality, and I find the iPhone provides a very quality image when you record audio. But I always like to have 1 or 2 extra sources of audio on top of the audio that comes with any video. For one, you want the mic to be as close to your subject, and your camera may be a few feet or more away. So it's good to have an extra mic, which I can provide. If you use a smartphone and you use it recording capabilities like voice memo on the iPhone, that works well too. And they provide high quality sound, especially if you're close to the object. That's pretty critical that you have the mic close to the object. With both the video and with the audio, you should do a quick sound test first, just so that you can hear, is there some distraction in the background? And I'll talk about that a little bit more. So we've covered the basic tools. Next, how will we get started? So on location, dealing with your set, to use photography terms. As I said, you want a good quality image, and that has to do primarily with lighting. So for many cameras, the lighting is pretty high tech, and it's pretty hard to get a bad image. But depending on where you place your subject, the lighting can do tricky things. So I recommend that you do a quick test, particularly if you have the person in front of a window or a light source behind them. A lot of times the camera will go to that light source, but it'll put whatever you have in front of the subject in darkness. So if you do a quick test and then you look back at your own, or you could do that even on your own at your house. If you look back, especially if you're facing a window and make sure that your subject is not in the dark. As I said, this isn't true for all cameras. Some of them are pretty high tech and they compensate for light. But you do want your subject to be well lit, and that may involve bringing a lamp nearby or moving the subject so that it's pretty good. I recommend that you do a little test with the audio and with the video before you get your subject ready to go, so that when you sit down with your subject you can just get ready go right along with the interview. It would also be nice to position the subject at an official desk or in front of a bookcase like a library, or any professional setting could work well. Watch for anything that will be distracting to the viewer. If the lighting is too dark, you may want to turn on a lamp or reposition your subject for better effect. And you also want to make sure that there isn't some awkward sound. I'll talk about that in a minute too. I'd like to show you a few images because the positioning of the subject, not only the positioning of the subject, but the shot of the subject or the framing of the object. You want to get a good close-up of the object. A lot of people they feel self-conscious about it, but when you're looking at a small video, which people may be looking at online, it's important to get a clear view of the face. So I like close-up, and I'll show you some examples here that I believe make for compelling images and compelling messages. So let's take a look at some of these. I used all kinds of subjects just for fun. Close in, sometimes cutting off part of the face or part of the subject. It's much more interesting when the subject is not centered, but they're slightly off-centered. You can have the person looking directly at you, or you could position yourself or the person who's asking the questions to the side so that the person is speaking to the side. A variety of approaches will work. Getting more than the person's head is fine, but in this image, as you can see, the background is just actually a nice blurred effect, which you get with a certain camera lens. Having the person off center makes it more interesting. And even having a little bit of the shoulders is okay, as long as it's not too distracting. This is compelling, the close-up, not the full view of the subject. And this is quite compelling, as is this image. The point is, the closer that you can get, you can focus on the message. You can focus on the intent of the person. And our goal is to get a clear, powerful message for the viewer. Okay, so we talked about the location. We talked about the positioning of the subject. We talked a little bit about the lighting. I won't go into that again. And we talked about distractions. It could be the hum of the air conditioner. It could be some other noise, the hum of a computer nearby. Be sure that you catch those in your test and try to minimize that or eliminate them altogether. So all of these effects, particularly the way you shoot your subject, the framing, can really add interest and engage your viewer and force them to focus on the subject, on his or her expression, thereby relaying a clear, unmistakable message, which is our whole point. So again, the all-important audio. I'd like you to record backup audio using your phone. For a Mac, you can use GarageBand. For a PC or a Mac, you can download the free software Audacity, which is a great tool because you can really do a lot with both of these softwares. You can do a lot with the sound to make it louder if the person doesn't speak loud enough. And that's the thing, you want to get them to speak up. And you'll catch that on your video if your volume isn't up. You don't want it too loud, because if it's too loud, it will get distractions of a lawnmower in the background or something like that. On the iPhone, I use Voice Memo under Utilities, and that's a pretty reliable program. And as I said, make sure that the speaker speaks up. Another thing I would say is, with some of the software that you use, you need to immediately, as soon as you finish the recording, you need to title it and send it, because there is some software that will let you record everything, and then if you go off and do something else, you'll find that you've lost your audio, and that's no fun, because you don't want to do this over and over just for fun. We are now ready to shoot. So you'll have a set of 5 simple questions. I recommend that you take small clips. 10 seconds and 30 seconds is actually a very long time in a video. So I recommend that you take small clips for each question. You give the person a chance to stop, catch their breath. They should know that the final product will only include 10 or 20-second clips, because even 30 seconds is a very long time in a video. If you watch a commercial, you'll see that they do a lot in a little bit of time. If you or the subject are really upset with the result, feel free to retake a clip again. However, I recommend that you don't spend an inordinate amount of time striving for perfection, because all the clips will not be used in the end, and most will be edited down to get the essence of the thought. So don't belabor this, stress over it too much. So in addition to actually focusing on the questions, I'd like you to take 1-3 shots of the subject in action. If they're in their office, they could be on the phone chatting with someone. They could be in the lab consulting with a student. They can be walking down the hall or walking outside somewhere. And you only need about 10 or 20 seconds, but something which we can throw in while they're talking. We can dub their voice over it just to break up the monotony of just looking at one thing for too long, especially if they're saying something really important. This shot can include other people, and still shots are also acceptable if you want to just take a couple posed shots. With all these other things happening, whether they're walking along or talking to a student or on the phone, all of that will be muted or very soft. A person could be typing, they could be almost doing anything. And instead of normal close-ups like I focused on for the actual speaking, these can be the full body length, they could be half waist up, or whatever is a natural scene for whatever activity they're doing. So, to organize yourself, and I will give you a cheat sheet for this, keep a log of the shots and the clip. Most likely it will be muted. So, I will actually give you a cheat sheet of step 1, step 2, step 3 of what to do. But I wanted to give you this overview first, just so you feel comfortable of where we're going and what our aims are. So label the shot 1 for your first question, 1-1 rather, and then if they continue on that question, then label that 1-2. If they make a goof and say, oh, we want to do this again, then label that next one 1-3, just so that I know all the 1-1-1, 1-2, 1-4, 1-5 shots all relate to the first question, because I'll have lots of these from different opportunities with different people. And so the same thing for question number 2. Question number 2 you'll write, and then 2-1, 2-2, 2-3, 2-4. Finally, I mentioned that you should do lots of small clips for the videotaping. You don't have to worry about that for the sound, for the audio. That would be a pain in the neck if you had to keep making sure that you had the audio on and off. The phone and others usually allow you plenty of space, because this probably shouldn't take more than a half hour, maybe 40 minutes, depending on how picky you want to be. It really shouldn't take that long, hopefully. We'll have given the person the questions ahead of time, and they'll have done some thinking. They may have notes, which is fine. So the audio will be one continuous stream, which I will edit and use as need be, depending on the quality. Or if there are interruptions, say, it's just usually a better quality than you're using a phone or a tablet. Send it to a place where you can access it later. And I would do that as soon as you finish the whole audio from start to finish. I would stop and then label it, and then some phones or tablets make you send it right away, whether you're going to email it or save it to a flash drive or do something so that we can access it later and I can edit it as needed. So for the final take, after the questions have been asked, and hopefully the subject will stick to the subject. It's not critical if they go off. If I find something that I think is really valuable in another question, then by all means we'll use it. But allow the subject to say anything that they feel is important to the discussion. I find in talking to people about the questions that they often raise more important questions which would be valuable, or they want the chance to say something that they don't feel the question's covered and they feel really important, and so let them speak as long as they like. These do not have to be in short clips. So I thank you for your participation. There's a quick survey that I'd like you to provide feedback online and also indicate your interest as to whether you might be interested in working with us on this project. Thank you so much for your participation, and I hope this was helpful. Thank you.